What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Scale Riders podcast, representing that model car culture from around the world. This is episode 193. I go by Brando Commando 1986. What's up, guys? Brando here again. I'll share some of my current and recent projects with you here. I recently finished a Jeep from Revell, the Jeep Rubicon, for the box stock build-off for Now or Never build-off. Turned out pretty good. It's the second one I've made. I tried something new on it. I've had some questions about the paint process, so I'll share that with you since I don't have any of that recorded on my Instagram page. So let's see, to start, prep the body, primed it out, gave it a silver base coat, and then with Createx Colors fluorescent green, I gave it a coat of that. And then on standby in the garage, I had a bucket of water ready to go, nice and clean, and a bottle of all dish power wash soap, I think it's called, like a soap dish detergent. So what you do is you basically just spray that on the color that you have, and then spray over it. What I used was an enamel from Krylon, the gloss black. I sprayed that over the power wash spray, and then I dunked it into the water, gave it a little shake, kind of like when you're hydro dipping, and pulled it out of there, and that prevented the black from adhering to parts of the green. It looks really interesting. I've had a lot of input on what it looks like. I personally feel like it looks like you're looking through a microscope into like a plant of some kind. It's really different and unique, but I'll let you decide. You tell me what it looks like. I've got it there pinned on the top of my page for now. So there's that. I matched the interior and the wheels and such, all little details here and there. I tried to match it out. Overall, I had fun with it. I did it in pretty good timing too. Didn't take me very long, so I'm happy with that. I admire this kit a lot. It's a curbside, as many of you know who have built it. It doesn't have an engine or anything, but it's a nice, easy, quick kit if you want results real quick. I really enjoy it. I think I have another one to build, maybe two. I don't know. But, so yeah, there's that. Before I move on, another quick tip I could share with you guys that I learned through Instagram. I forget who posted it, but I was trying to give them credit. But basically, if you have a wheel like the Rubicon wheels here that have the studs coming out of them, you can take a drink coaster, or what I used was a thin piece of foam from Hobby Lobby, and you can brush whatever color you'd like on to the foam or the drink coaster and smear it out real good, nice and thin, and then impress those studs with your fingers. You put the part down where you want the paint on the studs, and you push it in just slightly, and you can paint all your studs at once. I used to paint them all by hand, so patiently, and this is a way better process. I wanted to share that with you guys. And then say for like the studs in the wheel, what I like to use is just the end of a toothpick. And a lot of times I'll sharpen it to my liking to make the tip a certain size. So little tricks there for small details. Figured I would share with you guys. Moving along, I'm also working on an Integra for an Integra build-off. There's about 10 of us in that. I wanted to go all out with this one, or at least further than normal. So I tried something new on it with the paint as well. It's something that I saw Jay Walker Designs pull off on a recent build. Jesse Walker there, he did the forged carbon look, and I was really impressed, so I wanted to give it a shot myself. And I don't know if it looks exactly like it. I've never seen it in person, and I've only done enough research since seeing his work, and then ever since I've done it, I've been led to a couple other builders who've tried it and accomplished it very well. And so I'm trying to perfect that with time. I like how it looks though overall. It's almost like maybe even fiberglassy. I don't know. I've been told also a urban camo look. So either way though, it's kind of flashy and stands out. It's one of my more wild paint jobs. So, but I'm happy with it. Let's see. I got some plans for that. I started on the body first. You'll see in my posts if you visit my page. I did the trim work. I got the body and the trim work done. I have a few other little things to do to it, but real quick too, what I'll share with you guys for my trim, all that trim work that goes around your windows and such. That's a painstaking process for a lot of people, myself included, and I have a couple of ways I like to do it. Well, one I don't like to do so much, but it's faster, and that's just doing it by hand. Just freehanding it with a nice pointy, small, straight brush, and just a nice steady hand. It just takes a lot of practice, but you can get a nice straight line if you just practice. It kind of makes me want to attempt pinstriping, kind of. I don't know. I wonder if I could pull it off though, possibly. I just have to have the right equipment, which I do not have, so, nor the right paint, I'd imagine. So, but anyways, the process I typically use is I'll take Tamiya tape, the yellow, and lay it down over all the trim, and in hopes also that the trim has a nice deep crevice between it and the body panels. Sometimes, like on this Integra, they're notorious for not having a deep crevice on the A-pillar on the driver's side. So sometimes, like on this one, I will scribe it. So I'm not great at scribing. So I got away with it this time. But I'll lay some tape down and take a toothpick. It's kind of dulled out, not too sharp. Kind of round it out, and I'll make an indentation along that tape line that you'll see when you lay it over your trim. And then I take and get a nice new X-Acto blade, if not at least really sharp, but the newer the better, sort of like with BMF. And then I'll cut all that excess away, and then I'll remove the tape from the trim. So then I'll go about masking pretty much the whole body. I usually don't skimp out on that. I'll mask the whole body up just to avoid any overspray. It's a lot of tape. Sometimes I'll use paper if I can just let it drape over, safely protecting the body, and then give it a spray with whatever color you want. I usually use flat black. I've moved on to just regular black. There's a few versions of black from Vallejo paints, so I have them all here, it seems, by accident almost. So, but NATO black, typically I use this regular black. Let's see if I can find the number for you guys real quick. It's pretty good stuff. It's 71.057, straight up black. Good stuff. So so yeah, from there, peel your tape or layer clear, and then peel your tape. It depends what finish you want on your trim. So on this specific build, I painted it freehand and went with some Tamiya, I believe it's flat clear or matte clear. Looks really nice. I've been doing a lot of gloss lately, so I tried something a little different here. going back real quick to the Jeep, I also cleared that with my typical Krylon polyurethane clear. And that process really took in the clear. It's kind of almost, it seems porous in a way, but it's got a texture to it. But I kind of like it. So, excuse me, it's almost a satin look in a way. But so yeah, the Integra though, it's got that flat matte, whichever one. I believe it's a flat clear. I forget. I'm new to the Tamiya products and kind of new to their kits. So, but I do like their products so far. Their tape's great. Can't go wrong there. I can't complain at all. So yeah, that's how I do my trim. Moving along. I got some wheels from Northwind Customs that he sent me a while back ago. They've got the Honda badge in the middle. I believe they're the JDM version of the Type R, Integra Type R wheels, if I'm not mistaken. I also have a couple of nitrous bottles from him I'm going to be placing where the passenger seat would go. I'm going to be doing also some air ride suspension. I have some printed airbags in the decompressed fashion from Iceman Collections. I've got those ready to rock. I made an air tank for those out of 2 nitrous bottles. Again, I put them bottom to bottom and glued them. I've done this before with the Civic a while back ago. And then I fill in that void with super glue over and over and over again, sanding in between coats of super glue. It's a really good filler for 3D parts. I've noticed they sand about the same, whereas polystyrene seems to sand out quicker than the super glue when I've used it. But that's where I use sprue goo now, which is just what is it? Plastruck bonding, which Edgar is now offering it in his Scale Rider store as of recently. And then some sprue of your choice. Put it in a glass bottle with a lid that's airtight, and you have used some sprue goo. But anyways, I used super glue on the air tank, got it all nice and ready for prime and paint. I scratch built a compressor. I used a 3D printed one also from Northwind Customs as a reference, right there, physical reference, and tried to match it up as best as I could with a couple of changes purposefully made there. But that was really fun. You can also find that video of that construction on my page. A lot of my processes I like to put up in video form. It's a good time, and if someone can learn from it, I'm happy. So there's that. I made that compressor. I also have the rear of the interior is pretty much ripped apart. It's rebuilt now, but I took the rear seats out and created a double tiered platform, so to speak, where I'm going to put the air tank for the suspension on the lower platform, and then there just so happens to be 2 nubs that match the front strut bar in length above where the rear struts would go. So I'm going to put a rear strut bar across that second higher platform, and all that's covered in diamond plate, 2 different versions diamond plate, and I also covered the passenger floor and the driver floors in diamond plate as well. So it's turned out pretty good. Someone gave me the idea to do the interior to match the exterior, so I might do that. That was Mike, Northwind again. He said it could look kind of like a fiberglass rendition for the interior, so I might do that. I think that would look good. It's going to just be wild looking overall once it's done, so I might as well go all out. So on top of that, what else do I have going? I've got all the versions of wings here. There's it comes with 3 versions of wings. You have your 3-piece single tier wing. It's got the 2 side pieces and then the middle section. Then you have your short, kind of wide low profile wing and then the Type R wing. So I have 2 sets of the 3-piece wings. So the first one I matched the ends to the vehicle, and then the middle section I used from carbon I got recently from the Scale Rider store, some yellow carbon, and I wrapped it in that. And that was actually my first win at a carbon attempt. I've tried a few hoods, and I've had some fails along the way. I've wasted a whole sheet so far, so I'm trying not to waste any more product. And I got that one wrapped up, and I have a couple blemishes where I may have gave it a little bit too much rubby rub during application. So, but that gave me the idea to pull out 3 more wings and just have them interchangeable and just do photos with different wings when it's all said and done. So I'm starting the process with another 3-piece, which I won't wrap in carbon, and then the low profile and the Type R wing. I've got those ready to go almost for some candy yellow. So let's see what else. Oh, back to interior. I also took a GT40 race seat out of a spare kit that I ruined a body on. I also have the rotors and calipers from that kit that fit in those wheels. I'm going to use those, and I'll do a straight pipe exhaust, which I like to make from scratch with the styrene rod. That's another tip I can share real quick. I used to use a lighter to heat the rod and bend it, and I used to use what do you call it? I used to use tube instead of rod, and the tube will crumple on you if you heat it up and bend it too far. And it stretches easier. So, I learned to use rod, and I also learned to use a candle tea light. You can use both your hands at that point to make bends super easy. So that is what I'll use for the custom exhaust. That's also what I used for going back to the interior again, the half cage that I built that just goes behind the seat and across the top. I was going to do a full cage, but the seat is a little big. It's a little wide. It was a little tall, so I was just fighting the room there. I was fighting the visors that are part of the glass. Took an old Integra piece of glass part, and I attempted to see what I could do to make room for a full cage, going across the top in front of the driver and then down the sides, but it just lacks room. And I was also going to boost it, and since I'm not, it doesn't really call for a full cage, so a couple of nitrous bottles, half cage, a little racy. Airbag is a little unrealistic as far as the suspension setup would go, but it's all good. There's no rules involved in this little side build off, so just going a little crazy. I personally have always wanted an airbag setup in a vehicle of mine. I never got that far, so I do enjoy putting them in at scale. So there's that. So half cage. I think that sums up the interior. Holy smokes. We'll see where it goes. What else do we have here? Excuse me. I'll do a custom intake. I'm going to take off the intake pipe from the intake manifold there. Use some sprue again. Some just tree sprue, or part sprue rather. Parts tree sprue, whatever you want to call it. And create a custom cold air intake, hopefully. If not, at least a ram air, similar to the Civic I did as well. A lot of similarities between the two kits for sure. So I'll do that. Also, going back real quick to going back and forth and all over the place, going back to that custom scratch built compressor. You'll see in the video if you check it out, but I also just used the basics there. I used polystyrene sheet, real thin stuff. Not the thinnest, but maybe a couple of millimeters there. And regular parts tree there. It's all I used. And then for the little nub for the air fitting, I just melted a piece of sprue and stretched it, and then cut out the the smallest part of it there. Got it right to the width I wanted, and then let it cool off. Cut that out. You'll see. But it's really fun. I like to scratch build parts. The 3D printing is awesome, and I don't want it to go anywhere. I think it's a benefit to the community for sure in so many ways. But I think scratch building is important too. I personally really enjoy it. I'm not that great at it, but just little bits and pieces as you go. Just try this and that. You can't really. I don't know. Seems to me like it's just no real loss trying, because you're just gonna learn. So yeah, there's that. What else? I think when it's all said and done, I'll throw a photo etch plate frame on the back. But I think that pretty much sums up the progress and the plans, and then the freestyles that will happen in between. So yeah, really enjoying this build though. I've had ideas come and go for it, which is natural. So let's see here. Speaking of build-offs again, check out the SEMA build-off coming into an end on December 4th. I did not personally enter that one, but we're seeing a lot of nice builds pop up in the chats, and they'll be posted here soon, so check that out. I haven't dropped the hammer on a SEMA build yet. I don't know. I think it's beyond my skill set. I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe I'll join next year. But keep your eyes peeled for that one. And the new Now or Never build-off theme will be Mustangs versus Camaros. And going back real quick, because that's what we're doing here today, is a dance. Model car build-off will be taking December off. Just so you guys know, we'll be starting back up again in January. So just a quick reminder there. Back to the Now or Never build-off. Mustang versus Camaro theme. I picked a Camaro. Many of you know I'm not the biggest Chevy fans. Don't take it personal. Just I've always been a Dodge and Ford guy. But I have respect for all vehicles. Just not my cup of tea. But I have this 2017 Camaro here that I got during the clearance at Hobby Lobby recently. It was like $7, so I grabbed that up real quick. And I was up in the air about building it or 69 Revell SS. So I picked this one because it looks like it just needs a little bit more love on the body. The mold's a little bit more messy, and the body's a bit wide compared to the chassis, so it's a little warped out, but nothing I can't manage. But I just figured out I'll be up for the challenge. I'll save the Camaro for later. So, and there were a lot of Mustangs joining at first, so I was like, I kind of felt committed to the Camaro idea. So I won't go too crazy with it. I figure I will lower it, maybe put some wheels on it. I like the wheels that it comes with. I personally I'll try to use the kit wheels if they look good, if there's options and there's a set in there that might look good, and maybe I don't have a set of wheels that would, then there you go. This one I have a couple sets that may work for it, but I may save them and then just use the stocks. We'll see. We'll give it a drop. We'll see what goes on with any kind of power additions. But I keep things pretty simple. I go with the stock powerhouse most of the time from the kit. I have yet to put a printed piece in an engine bay yet, but I'll get there. I'm just little by little. I'm just learning slowly, I guess, and try not to go too crazy too fast so I don't overwhelm myself. But it's all about just giving it a try. So I'll come around. Comes with a pretty decent motor from what I've learned anyway. So I might, throw some nitrous in it. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll throw a bottle in there. What else? I'm going to go out. I'm going to try to do something cool with the paint again. We'll see. I have a couple things in mind, so I'm excited to get to that. I'm going to start with the body. I don't know yet. I'm deciding here, in fact, this evening, if I want to go all out and finish the Integra and then move on to the Camaro, or if I want to put the Integra on hold and then do the Camaro from start to finish and then go back. I can usually build pretty quickly, so I don't know though. I might go back and forth. I'm the type of guy that likes to just work on one thing at a time, get it started, get it finished, and then move on to the next, like an assembly line type of thing. But I might have to shift gears from time to time on these. I have the space, so why not? We'll see. Play it by ear, freestyle it. So I guess that about sums it up. I'll cut this loose here. Shout out to all you guys out there. Shout out to the new builders too that we've been seeing in both build-offs. Lots of new faces. Lots of people coming back into the hobby or just starting up. It's good to see. So we're here to help. If anyone ever needs help, there's a lot of people out here that'll help guide you along, for success. So I can attest to that. So shout outs to everybody. Shout out to you, Edgar. Thanks again for having me on. Always a pleasure. And I'm glad I was able to share a few of my processes with you guys and give you a little update on what's been done and what's coming along. And that's about it, guys. Take care out there and be safe and build on.
Thank you, Brandon, for handling that first part of the podcast. I'm your host, 65 Locs. We are at 193. I'm driving right now. It's raining, actually. It's on the commute, so in case if you hear water drops in the background, it's just the rain. It's like early morning right now, so I'm just like heading out. And today's December 2nd, 2-year store anniversary. So today marks 2 years of operation of scaleriders.com. And it's just kind of crazy thinking back how fast time has passed. That's what trips me out is like, before when I used to think about years, that used to seem like, man, that's like a long time when you think about 1, 2, even up to 5 years. But now it's, that seems to be like it's like time just flies, that it doesn't seem to be so long. That's one of the things that's kind of crazy in that perspective. But here we are today, 2 years, still planning, still trying to see, what is the next thing that we need to do in order to progress and grow as a business. Because it never ends. It doesn't stop, and definitely you do want to grow, but you also want to provide your customers with what they're looking for, whether it's products, the tools, information, sharing builds, all these things that just tie everything in together with the community. So I just want to tell everybody thank you for your support of the company. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be like doing what it's doing right now. It wouldn't have expanded with its products and brands. But yeah, thanks to you guys, and also for spreading the word too and recommending the business to other fellow modelers, or even just people that are getting into the hobby. That's pretty cool right there. And as last night I did record some audio clips, to accompany this episode, and I had uploaded the episode, but I don't know what happened. Like, so something's up. So I was just like, you know what? Right now, I'm driving. Why not just take advantage of this moment and record, and see if I could possibly just fix what needs to be fixed and apply this section to the episode. So we'll see what's up. I don't know. But yeah, right now it's like, man, there's a lot of cars right now. It's a little bit of traffic, obviously due to the rain. And it rarely has been raining out here. So when it does, it's like kind of like, oh, damn, like, oh, you're back. Missed you, So, but I hope you guys are doing good. I hope the holiday, you guys had a good holiday, Thanksgiving that just passed. And I mean, this year's pretty much done. It's kind of a trip as to all the things that have passed, within this year. But also, I hope that you guys can reflect and see the accomplishments that you've made throughout the year in your builds. Whether it's you stepping out of your comfort zone or being in your comfort zone, but still, just mastering and perfecting the craft of what is it that you're doing. Because I know each one of you has an ability. You guys all have a skill, something that in these builds is like your favorite part. I know each one of you has a favorite part in your build that when you step to that part, that section, that's the section that you thrive. That's the section that you're like, yes, like I can't wait to do this, just because it brings pleasure to my eyes, to myself, like seeing what I'm doing, bringing this to life. Because every time I'm doing this, I have success, and I'm just very happy with the way it looks after, and those are those pluses during those builds, is just having that right there, and I guess we already have to know in our minds, that these are model kits, and not all the pieces are going to fit together all the times. There's always going to be some type of issue along the way, but we always just got to be tested to figure out, how are we going to get out of this? How are we going to figure this out? How am I going to bring my vision of this kit? Like, because most of us already have a vision in mind of how you want that car to look in the end. Whether you found that inspiration through a photo online or in a magazine, you might be looking through some old back issues and you come across a car that you're like, man, I just really love the design on that car. Just the way it's sitting there, the paint job. Or it could be a photograph, from a family car, a car that used to pertain, to your family before it was sold. It could be your uncles, your fathers, grandfathers, and now you pretty much want to bring that car to life. Just to have a little replica of it in your home. And it's always good to have that vision at the end, because it's like having that visual, it's like having that visual to the finish line. Like, you already know, you see yourself getting it done. And as you're building the car, you keep going until you reach that point where like, all right, dope, I reached it, it's done. This is the way I wanted it to look. And if you ever reach like a part in the build where you realize, like, man, this isn't, I'm not liking it, it might be frustrating, or you're just, what you have envisioned isn't coming out, and those are those times when you're being tested right there. You're being tested, like, damn, I gotta figure this out, and that's when you start to hit up your buddies, your friends, model mates, crew members, to see what's up. And now the interesting thing is, there's just like, like, people's specialty and ability too. Like, if you start to really think about it, and you look if you're on Instagram, your friends or people that you follow, you'll notice that out of all the modelers, everybody has like some specialty, you know. Some people are just well-rounded all around, but there's some that like they stick to one thing, and it's just like it's mind-blowing every time they do it. And it's cool that you're not that far away from just sending them a message to you know, present the issue of like what you're going through, what you're trying to achieve, and for them to shed some light on that and provide some information on it. You know, because we're always seeking information. You know, we never stop learning. We're always just trying to figure stuff out, trying to figure it out. Like, oh, how can I get it to look like that? Or hey man, what material or what, you know, what piece right there did you use for that? You know, and all that information is out there. All we're doing is hunting down those puzzle pieces, you know, putting it all together. We're just searching for them out there. And that's the challenge that we like. It's fun, you know, being in that hunt, trying to see like oh man, you know. And sometimes these projects take years too. You know, you never know how long your project's gonna take. Like when you open that model kit and you start prepping it or you start putting in that work, you really don't know what's gonna happen within that time frame, because there might be you know, either a part that you just cannot find, or maybe you have to put it away because of the frustration, but you realize like, you know what, I'm not at that level yet. Like I haven't graduated to that next level to be able to execute what I want to do. So I better just put it away now, work on other builds, and you know, let's just say within 6 months you go through a couple builds or one build, you learn what you need to learn. Now you feel like you graduated to that next level, and then you're like, all right, now let me go back and revisit that other build that I had put away a while back, just to see you know, where I'm at with it. And then sometimes you find yourself like a year later, 2 years later, realizing like, oh, I know exactly where I left off. I know what was happening, what I was lacking in. Now I know what I need to do to like just jump back in there and get this done. And then it becomes a breeze, and you realize, man, good thing I waited. I'm glad I waited. And the same could happen to like parts, like whether it's like wheels or a 3D printed part, maybe a body kit of some sort. It could be something that you're just waiting, and then you realize, dude, this part just came out, or look, so-and-so just released this, or like Iceman just came out with this engine, you know. Gavin, Lowrider Model Car Parts, just came out with these wheels, you know. There's could be all these like different things that you go, yo, this is what I've been looking for. Finally, someone created it. It's available, and let me just go right ahead and pick that up, and now it's gonna fit together with my model. You know, I've had that experience in the past where I was I had this like 1965 Impala. It was gonna be a radical build, like I guess kind of an homage to like the Local 64. And at the time, I mean, just that excitement of knowing, oh, okay, I'm gonna cut it here, 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 and then kind of putting it together and seeing it have its function, but also in the back of our mind knowing like, yeah, like I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this car this year, because all this stuff, I know I'm not at that level. My skill level ain't up like this. Because let's just say I get the body work done and everything on this car. At that time, I just didn't know and had no experience with airbrushing or mixtures of paints, experience with laying down flake or candy or anything, pearls. So that was very unknown to me. So I had to put that model away. I still have the model till this day. Not too long ago, I pulled that model out, and I guess I just pulled out a bunch of builds that I had in this big box, and I started, I guess, doing like a reconcile, you know, going through everything, opening one by one, just kind of staring at the project and getting back into that mindset that I had at that time period. Because it almost feels like whatever thoughts and whatever ideas you have in that build, the minute you close that box, they stay in there. And when you stare at the box from the exterior, you kind of get a glimpse, but until you fully open it and you pull everything out, you get the full picture. So when I had pulled everything out, you know, I was I took everything out and I started putting parts back in one by one. You know, some of the trees that I didn't even mess with, the glass, put all that stuff back. Everything else that was loose, I was staring at it and I was going like, all right, now at this point, I know I don't need this, I don't need this. So I started tossing little parts or just things that I knew, like, I just don't need this. So I'm not even going to use this at all, ever. And then as far as the main pieces that I really do need, those were being placed into the box. And when I finally got to the body and I was looking at the doors, I realized how I cut out the doors. So I have the exterior part of the door, and then for the interior part, I was also using the stock door, and for like the door jambs and all that. At that time, I didn't know how to fill that in or use styrene. You know, I wasn't using styrene at the time, so I just used milliput, and I placed like a big piece of milliput in there, and I just, like, while it was wet, I squeezed it, so I filled in all that area, and then I got like sculpting tools, and I shaped the door jambs and all this stuff. So what ended up happening is that it just made that door really, like, heavy for the model. So when you would open the door would kind of bend down, like hang down, and it was due to that weight. At the time, I mean, I thought, oh, this is the way you do it. But now at this point, it's like, no, that's not. I mean, you could do that, but that's not the route I want to take. You know, I was taught to do it a different way, using styrene to fill all that in. And what was crazy is, for the inside of the doors, I was using the stock, you know, the inside of the doors, and I was just telling myself, like, if this is a radical build, you would not be using the stock interior, like, especially on the doors. Like, you just won't. If you're going all out to, you know, customize a radical build from the outside, the inside should also be customized as well, a one-of-a-kind kind of thing, you know. So this, you know, provoked me to go get my nippers and these other cutters that were a little bit more heavy duty, and I just went in there and I just started, like, going at it, like cracking away on the milliput. Since it was already dry and kind of old, it just broke off. You know, it took a while, but everything came off smoothly. And then the wiring also that I was using to hinge the doors, the front hood, even the trunk. A lot of these parts were on the hinges. It was like bendable wire, so it wasn't even like piano wire or anything like that. Anything solid. It was just very soft and kind of thick too. So, you know, it just goes to show, you know, at the time I didn't know any better. But within time, you know, you learn. And I honestly wouldn't have been that happy, like, with the build if I would have, like, attempted to complete it. I already know it would have been like a solid color. You know, it would have been just too plain, nothing too crazy. And Oh, and another thing too, it also had like, I left the Impala emblems on it and all that. And now, like, I'm like, no, all that would be shaved off. Like, there would be no reason to even have that on there, because you want this to look really clean and smooth, and not to have anything like stock like that, Because it looks odd. Once in a while, you'll see it on some cars where it's like a lowrider build and it has, some customization in there. But then you see like big emblems or something like that. And you're like, what the heck? Like, it would look so doper if none of that would have been in there. If it would have been just shaved off smooth. And even if they take it off, you got some holes in there. So, there's just a lot of thinking that goes behind a lowrider build, or even a custom car. But I know from building like the lowrider cars, it's definitely like a lot of planning that needs to be done ahead of time. Like, you already need to know, what kind of wheels and everything that you're going to be using for that particular build. And I guess it's like that really with any build, a lot of planning is involved. But I know from doing like the lowrider model cars, there was a lot of things that I learned from that. There's like a certain skill set that it shows you, because there is a lot of pressures with it. You want to definitely do like a really clean look of a car, make it look elegant, that it all just like flows together. And when I started diving into like custom cars, and that's like very exciting, because you're seeing all this stuff in the magazines and seeing other customizers doing their take on it. And when you start stepping into that stage, it's more research. It's more like school right there. And then you realize how those style of builds, that's another skill set as well that you start to learn. But at the same time, you start to feel a relief of freedom, a relief that, like, these cars, sometimes they don't even have to be completely done. When you go to a show, a lot of the times you see these cars where they're fabricated with the chopped roofs and everything, and they're not even painted yet. Like, you could still see the steel on them. So they're just showcasing you like all these modifications that they did to the car, which makes it very pleasing and also acceptable. And as time goes, you see the progression on it, and there's really no like rules, or no one really saying like, hey, oh, that car's not being done right, or it's supposed to be like this. Everybody just does their own thing, which I thought is like super awesome. And with it too, it's like when you see these cars already like in their full, like, all right, it's gonna get ready to paint. Sometimes you see it and it's like the car gets its primer done, and then later you see them lay like a base coat, and it could be like a pearl color, and it just looks very beautiful and elegant. Seeing it with a solid color. Then over time, you start to see it evolve, where they start, maybe adding flames to it, scallops. I don't know, whatever that's gonna flow with that car. Maybe some like a pattern of some sort, whatever the owner or the artist wanted on it, and it's kind of the same with the models. Like, you could be showcasing this build in the primer stage, and it looks amazing, and then you start adding your colors and everything, bringing it to life, and even that's like really cool. But just doing the research, seeing photos on like Google, you see all these mods that people do, and using like headlights from other cars and tail lights and stretching this out, expanding that out, and you're like, what the hell? Like, it's always why didn't I think of that? That's what I always kind of think of when I think of custom cars. That the customers are always like, man, why didn't I think of that? Like, that looks dope. And that's fun, you know. And I feel like the transition from lowriders to customs, I really enjoyed. And then later, I found myself diving into the world of like import Japanese cars. You know, I started to to see more of these like JDM builds and been like, man, these look awesome. You know, I would see these, but I really didn't look too much deep into it. And once you start looking into it, you start to see like, oh wow, this is like a whole another playing field right here. There's a whole like another skill set where I always appreciated, you know, seeing builds from like Luke. He's one of the members from like Low Ballers, and like seeing how his stuff, when I used to go to some of their meets, how he would like build his cars and, you know, scratch build the engine. A lot of stuff was being scratch built back at that time. Yeah, I want to guess it might have been around 2018, 2019, the year where I started to see, you know, a lot of these import tuner cars, how clean they look, the presentation on them, but then also all this detail that was going into it. So during the research, you start to find out that, you know, some of these kits that they're using to build these cars, you know, they're considered a curbside. They don't come with an engine. They don't come with all these like various parts, and that's where that appreciation kicks in, and you go, damn, like these dudes are crazy. Like all that work they're putting into this, and like they're filling in, and they're bringing this to life. Like all these areas that the model doesn't come with. You know, for the most part, the hoods are always closed or they're glued on. And this dude's like cutting it open. He's setting it up. You can see the engine and everything. And this is way before 3D printing, you know, engines or some other aftermarket products. You could tell this was like being scratch built, like on there. And I mean, now it's a trip, because I look at like Luke's Instagram page, and he's at that stage where like he's currently building an Acura, and that model was like 3D printed, like the full thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that, putting it together. You know, he's pushing himself right there to do it, which is dope. You know, and I know for sure he's gonna keep coming out with more, printing out more stuff, and putting all that together, right there. You know, and you know, the more I started to explore, I started to see everybody else that was doing it in the community, and how clean the work was and everything, and I saw all that as a challenge, because I was like, wow, like I'm not used to this. Like, you know, I know there's some similarities in the build, but with like lowrider stuff, as far as like the clears and other things like that, but there's also so many other things that play into this, you know. And I guess some of the excitement was gathering up some of those aftermarket products, like the ones from Zoom On and other companies, that I was kind of like, you know, what makes this kind of special is being able to know what you want to do, how you want to execute it, but also knowing that those products are out there to get to this way, work on this build and put it together, you know. And it's always nice when you step out of what you're used to knowing and getting into something else, another genre. And because you're expanding your horizons, you're expanding, your skill set and everything. And that's where I fell in love with it even more. I was like, man, this is so dope. And my bench, like, I have a mix of cars that I built that I like staring at, and I always get inspiration from it. Like, I have my lowrider builds. I also have custom car build, and then as well as some of the import and exotic. I guess the Lambo would be considered more on the exotic side. Just chilling right there, and I just like looking at them. It just takes me back to like being in those mindsets of working on those cars. And some of them I'm still continuing. They're not done. And I'm still like, I'm going to go back and like change this. I still feel like things can still be, like, it's not too late to change anything on these cars, Even though on some of them I could say, these are considered done. But if down the road something else pops up, I might like switch it up right there, Yeah, who knows what else I'll get into later. I know I'm always like looking to see what else I want to get myself into, to just learn and absorb it like a sponge, because I know a lot of things are going to be beneficial. So this way, when I go back in full circle and work on a lowrider build, I'm gonna pretty much everything I learned throughout this time, bring it back and be able to execute and practice it on this like lowrider build. That I'll be doing like in the future. And I hope you guys, could kind of reflect and maybe some of you guys could relate to some of this, of what I'm talking about right here, because like I said before, there's always like a favorite part in this build, and those other parts that we might dislike, we need to figure out a way to make that like our favorite, because I know there's always going to be a section in the build that we don't like. We either find it very boring, or it just feels never ending, like you're never going to get out of that forest, and we just need to figure out a way to get out of there, or be in it but like it, so this way every section in the build we're definitely going to be into right now. Man, I don't know if you guys could hear my windshield wipers right now. I'm starting to hear the noise. I'm thinking, damn, I wonder if you guys can hear it. It's like very foggy. It's drizzling. Right now, there's all these cars now that like are out. And it's like 7 a.m. So, I mean, everyone's trying to get to work. You can see it. Everyone's on their way somewhere. Or maybe some people got off work and just going home. But, yeah, it's like really, really kind of dark out here right now. Another thing I wanted to mention is NNL West. So next year we got the NNL West coming up in the month of January. I believe it's on the 21st of January at the Santa Clara Convention Center. And that show, what I want to let you guys know is that I have submitted my payment towards a vendor table, and I'm just waiting for confirmation. So as of right now, it's still tentative. I'm just waiting to hear back. If I do get granted a vendor table and I do get confirmation that everything's a go, green light, I will make my announcement that I will be at NNL West 2023, and that's going to be exciting because this will be the first time that I would be there vending. Been there at the show many times in the past, but never as a vendor. So this would definitely be a different take on it. I know it's going to be hard to step out of the vendor booth to look at builds. If the opportunity presents itself, I will go ahead and do that. But if not, I'm going to have to kind of just chill in my vendor area and, just help out as many people as I can while I'm there. So I'm excited. So once that, I get notice of that, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, it's just throwing it out there. I hope you guys can make it. I haven't talked to anybody about it, like regarding like, are you going? Did you already book your flights, your hotel, and all that? I haven't talked to anybody about that. So, because I don't know yet. But this year, if I get that green light, then it's a go. We are going to be there for sure. And then February, there's going to be a model show, a local one in Southern California called Model Fest, which will be in Ventura, California. That's a show that I'm also planning to vend as well. Payment has been sent out to that too. So just waiting to hear back for that. And if everything's a go, then I'll be there. This will be at the end of February. Can't remember the date as of right now because I don't have the flyer in front of me. But it will be going down in February, and I'll give some promotion to that too on the future podcast episodes. So that's another show that I recommend if you guys can come out to that. It's out in Ventura, California, and I'll keep you guys posted for other future shows. One of the goals for the business is definitely to have a presence. I do want to have more of a presence at these shows. I missed a lot of shows last year, but now this year, one of the goals is to try to be at as many shows as possible. I know I can't promise every show, but the ones that fit into the schedule, I'm definitely gonna see about being there to vend, and I guess once I find out, then and everything's good, then I have to start to prep, what I'm taking, what I'm gonna take, things of that nature, the planning, everything, just to execute it, get there a day before, hang out, be already in the area, stay out there, next day wake up early, go get set up, enjoy the show. Once it's all done, pack up, and it's time to go home. It's like a 5 to 6 hour drive for me, so it's gonna be one of those things where time's gonna be very critical if I want to arrive like cool, not, it's gonna be late by the time I get home, but you know what I mean, just so this way I'm not all like tired and stuff like that. And also we are gonna be receiving pretty soon, maybe it's today, I'm tracking it, it's already here in California, but Zoom On parts. So Zoom On, I had to restock on a lot of parts, especially the engines. Those things, as soon as I received them, they sold out really fast, and I ordered more, so they're gonna be here soon. So if you're looking for that, definitely keep your eyes peeled, because I will be updating the site as soon as I get them in. So I have a Zoom On order that has just come in, and then I also have a lot of other detail parts that came in, like Detail Master stuff has come in. There's also a brand Top Studio that's come into the store as well. Some really nice braided lines that are in there, and toggle switches, that you could use with your models, especially if you're doing like a lowrider. You could even use those little switches on there. A lot of different things. Right now it's more about, I'm listening to what you guys are wanting, looking for, and if I'm able to get it, it's gonna come into the store. Definitely expanding the detail parts section, all the aftermarket parts and products. Those are that is expanding, and do expect more brands to come in as well. The same with like the tools. There are going to be more brands coming in, restocks as well. Because I know there's certain brands that I'm like super low on, and that's also going to be expanding right there. And the same with the model kits. With the Aoshima stuff, I just recently put in an order with them, with my distributor. It's going to be arriving sometime this month with what they currently have in stock. And I did more of a mix of different kits. So it wasn't like before, like, I'm only going to get like 4 different kits and, quantity of like 6 to 10 or whatever. No, it was more, I wanted to expand the selection, but limiting the quantity on them. So this way there's more of a selection in there to keep things a bit more interesting. And, all the pre-order stuff will be arriving later. I keep checking in with them regarding that, and they keep saying, now they've told me they're expecting something between December and January. And that could change too. I'm not sure, it's out of their control, because a lot of this stuff is shipped in containers. It's coming in a boat, and who knows how backed up they are out there at sea or in the docks. All those little things fit into it. So, but when they do receive it, I'm definitely going to be picking a lot of that stuff up and getting it in for the store right there for some of the pre-orders that I've gotten. And I guess when in the future, if I announce, a pre-order, like a new pre-order, I'm going to set the date of the Japan release, but I'm also going to set the date of when we're expected. So I'm going to basically be adding like 3 to 4 months ahead as to when it arrives, because that's kind of the estimation of how long it takes for it to arrive here with all these delays that have been going on since the pandemic. So hopefully those things change, especially now. I mean, we're not only is the U.S. like a big consuming company of products, but other countries too. There's a lot of other countries that are becoming very big on consuming products. And, a lot of this is due to the social media, the internet, just people having this access into seeing what's out there, and now seeing that, hey, a lot of stores ship worldwide, and you can get stuff, everything. So, I don't know why there's still kind of a lack of inventory of it taking so long to arrive from wherever it's coming from. It should, at this point, it should be coming in fast, especially if people want to make these sales. But I don't know. We'll just see what's up as we go forward. But hey, this is 65 Locs checking out. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode 193. Thank you, Brando Commando. Yeah, thank you again, man, for handling that first segment of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care. Please keep on building and share the podcast, with your community, your friends. Let spread word, let people know. And for any of your model needs, please visit skillriders.com. All right, guys, peace out. Take care.